Hello everyone, we are back with the 7th series. We interviewed for you surf legend, world champion, surf photographers, shapers, and many more. We hope you like the series and please stay tuned for more amazing news. Mahalo. Hello everyone and welcome to the 19th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Hawaii, the legendary Tom Stone. We discuss with him about surf, surfboards and much more. Hi, Mr. Stone, welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Okay, so you can't call me Mr. Stone to begin with.
Okay, that's good.
You can call me Tom, or you can call me Pohaku, or you can call me AU, or anything you wish, but not Mr. Stone.
Okay,
anyway,
fantastic. Out of respect, I will start.
Mahalo. But I'm actually sitting on my patio. I mean, this is my workspace and patio kind of thing. I'm on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, and I live back in a valley that I look down on the ocean. So I live up high in the mountains. I can see the ocean. I can see the waves. I can make determinations of what I want to surf, or if I want to surf, or carve wood. So I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a strategic location to see the surf and decide what you want to do that day, right? If you want to carve or if you want to go in a few ways. And so the first question that I wanted to ask you, that is, I ask everybody, is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Having fun. That's really one of the most important things to me, because if you're not smiling, laughing for every wave you catch, I don't know, you should go home.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Definitely. But also a lot of people, they don't have the same philosophy. I mean, having fun seems so simple as a concept, but a lot of people not necessarily have fun out there, right?
Well, I mean, because he'enalu, or wave sliding or surfing, really is about just being in tune with that moment of the ocean. It's just you and the ocean, even if it's crowded. Yes, I get a little aggro in the crowds and things like that, but hey, I'm an OG, and I mean, all these young guys, I mean, I understand everybody wants to be famous, but really, I don't really care about that. I really care about just catching that wave and just feeling one with it and enjoying every turn, every moment of that slide.
So. Exactly. And, of course, in spaces like in Hawaii or the pipeline, for instance, there is also another component, like there is the respect, right, versus people that were there before you, or that they're able to catch way better than you. And it's also a matter of safety, isn't it? It's just not everybody can go out there and surf.
Well, that's the problem. That's why I don't surf pipe that much anymore. It's because there's so many people that shouldn't be there. And, I know everybody wants to experience it, but really, you should work up to it. And I was lucky. I got to surf pipe when, the crowds weren't there so much. And the older guys than me at that time, Butch Van Arsdalen, Jose Angel, they were my mentors there as a kid, and I had respect for them, and I had to find my lineup. And today, everybody, to be really honest, everybody wants to have a camera on them, and they all want to catch that one wave to put it on social media that they're somebody, but really we're nobody.
I like this definition, and joking with my friends or here in the podcast, I always say in Instagram there are only perfect waves. They are never wipe out or
Yeah.
average wave. So everybody's just portraying the best, absolute, perfect version of itself without considering that at the end we are all human, and it's good to be a mix of failure, success, best waves, shitty waves. Just like normal human being, right? But in Instagram, we are all like perfect surfers, so it's kind of
Correct.
debatable.
I totally agree with you on that because you know there is no negative if you wipe out or the waves are not good or whatever. It's always that you just on that one day it could be onshore winds, which a lot of places in the world are like that, and you just paddle out because you just want to experience the waves of that place. And when I surfed up in England on the north or on the east coast of England, up by Newcastle, it was freezing cold. I don't like cold water, for example, and I paddled out by myself, full wetsuit, and I'd never worn a full wetsuit, booties, gloves, everything. And there was nobody out there but me, and I had a good time. I had a great time for about 3 hours, and it was snowing.
Oh wow!
I'd never experienced anything like that, and it was okay. But that's what people should be searching for now. It's just the experience of just enjoying it and respecting it for what you get out of it, right? And have
Yeah,
fun.
exactly.
Have fun.
Yeah. Even if the session is not like the perfect one, but still you are out there, and what matters, right? So
Well, I mean, that's what I'm teaching my youngest son. I mean, when I say he's young, he's 17, but he's almost 6'5", and he's still growing. And I'm teaching him to just have fun. He wants to be. I mean, I get that at that young age. You want to be. You want to make your own stamp, right? In the contemporary style of surfing, you want everybody to know who you are and whatever. I never did want that. I never wanted people to know who I was. I just did not like that. But at the same time, it's important to know why you're going out to surf. And it's every session is never good. You never know what you're gonna get, right? And that's what's important is people have to understand that one day of you felt the session wasn't good, maybe you caught 2 waves when normally you catch 20 waves in an hour. It doesn't mean it was a waste because you learned something, right? You always learn something.
exactly, definitely, I agree with you. And so, looking back at those years, where you were young and surfing pipe, and these, what you consider was your best achievement at that time?
Well, besides riding at my time, my generation in the early 60s or late mid 60s and into the early 70s, it was actually having the best shapers of the time see me as something valuable. And that was one of them. The other one was being able to pull up at Pipeline after everybody has surfed early mornings. Jock Sutherland, Jeff Hackman, Jose Angel, and they all took off for Waimea Bay because the surf got big. And to have that opportunity to show up and to see the most perfect pipe ever seen. And yeah, I mean, because it's never been seen before and it was never seen today after that time. There was only 2 people out, and that was Jose Angel. I could not believe that man could paddle from out in front of his house at log cabins out pretty far into the ocean. I mean, I would say half a mile or more. And me paddling out from Pupukea and watching him take off on a wave so far out at sea, and the sandbar, nobody's ever seen a sandbar like that. It was just those people that came. But when I watched Jose Angel ride, it's like going to Indo and you see Uluwatu or something like that, or G-Land, except there's no flaws in the wave, and watching this guy that I didn't even know at the time ride this wave and standing in this tube that was, I've never seen anything like it. And it was probably about 25, 30 feet. And that inspired me.
Wow.
That inspired me to, just push myself even harder. And the fact is that he had to swim in from beyond what people call second reef, third reef. He was swimming when I was still paddling out. And he just had a smile on his face. And he says, "This is the most perfect waves that you've ever had here." And I was like, yeah, I know.
Amazing. Yeah, I was thinking it's not only about being a surfer, right? In the example of Jose Angel, is just like being beyond a surfer, like a waterman, right? It's like you enjoy the paddle, the being in the ocean, and then having the reward of the wave, isn't it?
Oh, I was, like I always say, I mean, I was born to the ocean. I was born from the ocean. It was just really, I had a good mother that, and sorry about the dinging. I have no idea what's going on. But I mean, I had a good mother that was an ocean woman. She taught me a lot about my environment or our environment and how to be comfortable in our home. And then I had so it wasn't all about just surfing. I was taught how to fish, um, and I was fishing in a very traditional sense. I was taught how to survive in the ocean, taught how to not die from drinking ocean water because you have to survive. So when you say a waterman, I never considered myself that kind of thing. I always just considered myself as a native. And it's just the way we grew up and I happened to be lucky at that time of in that era when we were losing a lot of knowledge, right? So
Okay.
lucky me.
and and now what happens to that knowledge? I know you're working quite a lot to make sure that the knowledge stays and I mean continues, right, with the generation. But do you think today then it's difficult to share knowledge with people? I mean, it's easier with the media, right, like Instagram, for instance. But how is it perceived?
Social media today is really, really an excellent way of getting that information out. But it's just, I mean, you have to live it. And I live it. I mean, I know where I'm at. I live in the 21st century. I'm from the 20th century and moving into the future. But it doesn't mean my cultural traditions and way of life ended. I mean, what was passed down to me, I carry on, and I pass down to my children. I pass down to those in the community that want to continue carrying it on. Um, it's not like I know everything. I just know what was passed down through my family to me. And I really want my children to carry that on. But there's a lot of younger generation that embraces that culture from around the world. I mean, I have I, I have young people that are reaching out social media wise, and I'm trying to like work with everyone, whether it be Germany, France, the UK, Italy, Asia, Australia. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm doing my best that, but it's just utilizing the technology today to be able to share that knowledge because it's I'm not sure what people really want to learn. If they want to learn tradition, great. If they want to learn tradition and establish a contemporary style of carrying on, I'm okay with that as long as it's part of the traditions, you know.
Yeah.
Well, because in Europe, in Asia, there's a difference, right, between America and the rest of the world. The rest of the world still embraces their ancestral roots, and in America, they've been so busy discarding it, and that's the truth. And I think those in America that are reaching out, they're trying to actually find their own roots. And I appreciate the rest of the world for standing and, I mean, carrying on that those roots, whether it be food, I mean, knowledge of plants, healing, whatever. I think it's beautiful. And I think, well, I got to get rid of that word think. I don't think. I believe America needs to get their shit together.
Yeah, it's true. You know, like if we think, for instance, to the Japanese people and their current culture is based on the old culture and is everything lives at the same time without a huge change. Is the foundation are very strong, right? So
Yes.
I, in a certain way, yes, the evolution that the US has had is much faster into the new and maybe a lot of things that belong to the past that were the foundation of the society were forgotten. So maybe there is a need to go back to the root of what was USA. Actually, USA is huge, so it's quite a different state from state to state, right? So
Hey, I don't know, man. In Italy, when I was there in '85, windsurfing up in Sea, I I thought it was the best experience there, right? So much aloha was
yeah.
there when I came. It was just awesome. And the food, I'd never been, well, it was the first time I'd walked into a family, I guess you would call it restaurant or whatever, and best pizza I ever ate.
Yeah, the plus in Italy is that after any sport session, not only surf, you can have access to great food. So that's the plus we do have as Italians, of course.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
talking about surfers, in your life, you met a lot of surfers. Was there a meeting that was particularly meaningful for you with one of them? Could be a famous surfer, or could be just a surfer you met down the road.
Well, yes, true. I've met a lot and have friends a lot. You know, Jerry and I grew up as kids together. Jerry Lopez. Um, and but you know, we're on different paths. But really, the most influential for me was when I was a very young child, probably 6 years old, seven, and when this, you know, one of the Beach Boys, you know, actually two, they were the Gerards, Jerry and Merle Gerard, and they were working with Duke, with Nappy Napoleon, you know, within our own community, and even Duke, because that's the guy who actually let me go surf one day was Duke Onomoku, because you couldn't go surf as a kid unless you could carry the board. And you had to get the board out of this locker. And, there was a row of surfboards, wooden, most of them were wooden surfboards, but you had to be able to lift it over a lip that was probably 6 inches high. You have to get it over that lip. And when I finally got it over that lip and I walked maybe in my kid's mind, in just my own kid's mind, I say maybe 20 feet or something on the sand. And Duke came and grabbed the board and took it down to the water and put it in the water and said, go surf. But when you come back, you have to clean the beach.
Wow.
Okay, I can do that. So that was a thing, a lesson learned. But there were so many others, and Aloha Kaeo that most people don't even know of. He worked the trash pickups on the North Shore, and whenever as soon as he got through picking up the trash, if the waves were big at Waimea Bay, he was out there. So I was around a lot of big wave riders as I grew up, and they were all influential. I mean, Butch Van Arsdalen he was crazy. He knew what he was doing in the ocean. But there's so many people. I don't know. I mean, in surfing, I never really saw anybody as anybody famous because I was with everybody. It was a generation. It was the beginning. It was the beginning of professional surfing.
Yes.
And so I guess we'd have to say the most famous people I met at that time would be Jerry Lopez, Jock Sutherland, Jackie Eberly. Jackie Eberly, people don't even know about. He was one of the greatest big wave surfers ever. And he taught me how to go left at Waimea Bay. Yeah. Those in the professional world, those were the most famous surfers I knew at the time.
Okay.
I didn't see myself as famous. So
No. But in effect, I said meaningful, right? Because at the end,
meaningful, yes, and they were meaningful because we always pushed each other, pushing hard.
Maybe at the end, one meeting with one person that is not famous, but is I don't know, as the spirit of Aloha, or he has like local knowledge. Maybe it's more important than to meet in the modern days, Kelly Slater or Jerry Lopez, right? I mean, life is made by human interaction, and human meetings are so important. So for that reason, I use the word meaningful and not the most famous. But
Very good. I appreciate that. And you know what? When you say meaningful, that would be Conrad Kuno.
Okay.
Conrad Kuno, because a lot of people don't know how I moved into big waves, is that when Jerry Gerard, on a big day, and that's when they called it first breaks or zeros off of Waikiki, I was like 8 years old, and I wanted to go surf the big waves outside. So the Beach Boy, Jerry Gerard, took me, and when we got there, I cried, and I just was so afraid. And he had to take me all the way back to the beach, and I felt so ashamed later in my life. But I decided that I wanted to ride big waves, and I wanted to master, tube riding. And so I ventured to Ala Moana Bowls, and that was before it was Ala Moana Bowls. And I was out there one day as a kid, and Conrad Kuno, who's passed away just a couple years back, I mean, he looked at me and he said, if you you got to go. If you don't catch a wave, you have to go. You can't be here. And a wave came, and he told me, just paddle and just think about what you want to happen. And I knew what I wanted. And that's the first time at 10 years old that I pulled into a barrel that was like brown, chocolate water, and pole sets at that time were like 15 feet or bigger. And I was just immersed in it. And it was because of Conrad Kuna. It was
Yeah.
meaningful to me. And he
Wow.
taught me that you just go. You
Yeah.
just got to go. And that was that.
That was only your the way to the beach, right? You could not you could not come back without getting any wave, right? That was
Correct. It's a choice. You either
the
go or
choice.
you go.
Exactly.
Yes. And that
Go
was that.
go
Yes.
big or go home, kind of, right?
The uncles were clear about that. Go big or go home.
Exactly. Um, and so, switching the subject, from surfing to surfboards. Yesterday, while I was reading about you, I like the word carving surfboards. Because in a normal way we express ourselves, we call shaping surfboards, right?
Correct.
But you are not shaping surfboards in a sense; you are carving them. So it's kind of the creation aspect is I don't know, it sounds totally different, right?
Yes, it does, for sure. Because I mean, shapers, that's a word that comes with our contemporary times, right? And I mean, when I make a board out of wood, there's a difference, right? Shaping, you can take the foam and put it any way you want. But at the same time, I don't shape. I never learned to shape, but I did learn to carve. And it's just it's just like, carving individuals that carve statues, or they carve totem poles. I mean, that's just the way of our life. And every wood has to be you have to be connected to that piece. It's it's not just taking it and and just go in the shaping room, and you got all the lights, and you got all your templates and everything. There's nothing here that's made by templates. It's all just made from what was taught to me. And I don't know how to shape, but I do know how to carve. And it takes a while. And I don't make anything in a room. And wood is different from foam. It's a living thing. I mean, foam, hey, don't get me wrong, because
Okay.
because hey, I ride my foam boards. I love my boards. I love the boards that all the shapers that I know make for me and for our family. But it has a living spirit, and that's the difference. The wood, like anything else on our earth, our planet, they are it's living, and we can either let it die, or we can be the hands that, I guess, bring back its life and not let it die. Keep its spirit alive so others can enjoy it later in the future.
Because a piece of wood, if I understand and follow what you're saying, a piece of wood by itself is something that is kind of destined to die. But if you carve it, you repurpose him, and you give him a new essence, or a new. Is it what you're meaning, right?
That is exactly what I mean, because it's nurturing that spirit and providing for it, right? And giving it the opportunity to come back to life, resuscitating it. And so for me, a lot of wood that I use, in fact, the majority of the wood I use, is all those things that someone would just throw away and burn. And those are the pieces I look for, and I want to, I want, because I see the life in it. I see their spirit, and that piece of wood tells me what it's going to be. I don't choose what I make out of it. I just know the traditional designs or styles of boards that we had based on what was given to me, and that piece of wood just says this is what I'm going to be, and I just follow its guidance and create it. So, but it's living.
Mm.
We should remember that our Mother Earth.
Of course, it's blending, with the environment that created it at first. So, and what does it take to surf a surfboard made of wood? Is it different? I never experienced myself, so maybe it's a very silly question, but
Oh my God, it is. It is completely different. As my wife would tell you, the first time I rode a 15-foot Olo board, I caught the wave, stood up, and tried to turn it like my regular tri-fin board, and the board went one way and I went the other way. That's about it. But over the years, I remembered what was taught to me, and it wasn't dragging your foot or any of that stuff. It was about touching the wave with your hands, and I I remembered all that, and so when I started to ride bigger waves on my wood boards, even though it's hard to paddle into it, and your timing changes from foam to wood or vice versa, it was every time you got into the wave, there's one thing we all do from 1,000 years ago till today is everyone touches the water with their hands, but nobody pays attention to looking at that. Because once you touch the wave, say you're riding 8-foot, 10-foot pipe, if you look, everyone touches the wave with their hand. And it's the same way it was done in the old time. And that's the thing that makes it all easy and hard at the same time, because one is you're paddling something that floats, and the other one is you're paddling a log. You're paddling something that's underwater, weighs 100 pounds or more, and you have to make it go into that wave. So, but it is hard, and it's not.
okay. And we were talking before about keeping the tradition alive, and keeping the heritage alive. Today, I guess the world of carving surfboard is not that big, right? Or I'm wrong?
Well, there's a lot of it actually is.
It
There's a
is,
lot of,
okay.
yeah, there's a lot of individuals across the world that are carving wood surfboards, whether or not it's hollow or solid. But there's individuals that are going back to this using wood, and I think that's beautiful. But we can't really overdo that, because if we do, I mean that impacts our forest. Everyone that's actually making wood boards today, it doesn't matter whether it's in the contemporary style or it's in the traditional style. The most important thing is utilizing wood that would otherwise be thrown away. I mean, that's what's important for individuals making wood surfboards, because there's a lot of good wood out there. And even though, personally, I rather just continue with my native woods, and we always are here in Hawaii. We're always seeking out developments that are impacting our trees, and we try to like gather them up and share it with other individuals for whatever purpose it might be. So, but there are a lot of guys making, not guys, but women too,
Okay.
making wood. So we got to be clear on that.
And like when we talk about when the world talks about in general sustainability, and repurposing the wood is definitely part of that. Is the essence of it, right? It's like if you make through your art, through your hands, something out of something that was, as we said before, destined to be burned, then it's more than welcome, right? Is
Yeah.
It's an added
I mean,
value.
because you just look at a slab of wood, right? But it's broken in half, but it still fits together. And if it doesn't fit, if you're a woodworker, you can make it fit together, and you can make it beautiful, and you can work with what the wood wants to provide for you. You know, and that's what people have to get over, is that just because it looks like this and it's a broken piece, but it's got the right, you know, width, length, thickness, everything, put it back together. We live in a modern world. We can do that. I mean, because, yes, I do put a lot of wood back together using epoxy, but in a traditional manner, there are the old ways that if someone asked me if I wanted to, I could put it back together with the old style of gluing,
Okay.
using saps from the trees. There's certain saps in Hawaii or throughout the Pacific, that was used to put the wood,
Wow.
to glue the wood together, and it's like super glue, right?
Nice.
And people don't know about it, so it's like
Nice. And is there one of the board that you carved that was very important for you, and maybe you still have it? Maybe you have it for you, or maybe you sold it or whatever. But that was very, very important for you. Maybe it was a challenge, or
well, I have one board that I made, and that's that one board is really important to me because of my as a as a kid, as a young child, growing up and being influenced by the modern surfing world. Um, I wanted that perfect shiny fiberglass foam board, but we were very poor. Um, so my dad took the time to find a piece of wood, and every day when he came home from work, every evening he would by hand carve the board, and I was there watching him the whole time, every day, and I was so excited. And then when he showed it to me, I was very disappointed. I hated. I told him, no, I don't want that board. And so he said, what was wrong with it? I said, well, it didn't have a fin on it. So he made a fin, and he put a fin on it. And I told him I hated the board. So, he broke it and burned it.
no?
And then sometime later, we went down to the Hobie shop that was in Hawaii at the time. And he bought me a Hobie Phil Edwards model board that we really couldn't afford. So he took away from the whole family what we needed as money. And before he passed away, I remade that board from what I remember. And when my dad saw it, he cried. So
Hmm.
I wanted him to know that I really appreciated what he had taught me in wood carving, surfboards. So
Thank you for sharing this story, and People cannot see your eyes. I can see them, so I know it's very important for you. But I guess that board still lives in your memory, and I think that's what matters, right? Because objects, they come and go, right?
Yes.
But memory stays, right? And then uh, good that you read on it. Good that you were able to recreate, but of course you cannot recreate the board that your father made. It's like a unique object, but that memory stays. And I think if you are able to transmit, like to me and to people or to your son, that memory will continue to be alive, for forever.
It is alive. I mean, because, and when you say that, I did remake that board from my childhood memory. I made that board identical to what my dad had made. I remembered it from because that was a gift he gave to me. He gave me a gift, and I never realized it till very late in my life. And that was when I came back to surfing because I'd left surfing. I quit surfing in, well, I walked away from surfing in 1976 because I had a choice. It was either my son or me. I would end up dying or in prison. And I didn't come back to surfing until 1989. And my dad passed away in 1997. And I definitely wanted to show him that I I appreciated everything that he taught me, and I was carrying on our family knowledge. So
Very important.
yes, it is very important. And so, I mean, people don't get their shit together to end up with nothing.
We go back on what we were saying at the beginning, like the importance of keeping traditions and the importance of the culture, and like we can talk about general culture like Hawaiian culture, but at the end, the Hawaiian culture is made of or any culture is made of the stories of every single family, right?
Yes, it is.
And so if we, without going for the big picture, if we are already able to preserve the story of our family, it's already a good step forward, right? So,
I mean, that's what everybody that wants to embrace surfing should be really aware of is actually carrying on traditions, not only of surfing, but of their life. Because a lot of people surf because they want to experience. And then there's a small niche or a small group that want to be famous and or competitive surfers, which is, I mean, I can't believe how they've taken and been progressive with the styles of surfing today. It's beautiful to watch the younger generations. Oh my God.
Even also big wave riding, like imagine all the progress that have been made, just with the possibility to catch waves, using I don't know the how do you call it, the aqua scooter, to bring you up to the lineup, right? And
Oh, you're talking about the jet skis. Oh,
jet skis, got it.
Oh yes, I have all jet skis here too.
In Italy, we call them aqua scooter. I don't know even if they exist.
That's exactly what it is, a motor scooter. But I mean, it is
jet skis.
I mean, it's progressive, and so, but there's a lot of, I mean, whether they're competitive or not, there's a lot of the younger generation really pushes us progressively in what we can do with surfing. How far can we go? And yeah, there's a lot of connections between the other sports like snowboarding, windsurfing, for example, because when I left surfing, that's all I spent years And that's when I was competitive. I was a competitive windsurfer. And it taught me all the things you could do in the air. And then to come back to surfing and to see all these younger generations actually doing that. It was just,
Yeah.
I'm so, yeah, I'm stoked.
Exactly. That's the right word. Wow, that was a great interview. To finish, I have 6 questions that I ask everyone. So
Okay.
please answer with the first thing that comes up to your mind. The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
It was a 8-foot Defender for balsa board.
Okay. Your favorite shaper or carver of all time?
Dick Burr.
Ah, yes, of course. Legendary. Personal question. Your favorite song or kind of music?
Jimi Hendrix.
Ah, nice.
Good job.
Nice. I like that. We go back to the roots of rock and roll, right? So it's
Yeah.
amazing. Favorite surf spot?
Pipe.
Of course. These I knew. Favorite surfer of all time?
Myself. No. Pretty. Jock Sutherland.
Okay. And the last question is a little bit unusual. I ask everybody on the show, and I don't know why I came up with this question, but anyway, since now after 130 episodes, I have to ask you your favorite relationship advice.
Favorite relationship in life is embrace your family. And my wife is my foundation.
The same for me. My wife is the foundation, and the kids as well, right? It's important,
Hey, I get my okole kicked if I don't stay with it. No, she is the foundation to our family. Yes.
Fantastic. So thank you, Tom, for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talk to you very soon. It's been very inspiring.
Bro, mahalo for having me on the show. I appreciate that.
Mahalo. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!